Alright, what's up guys? So if you watched the last video, you would know that we are having a wastegate issue with this car. So basically what had happened was I took the wastegates off to reinstall the turbo kit to the motor, and I upped the pressure. We had tile rated at 18.85 psi, but I had totally forgotten to factor in that the dock race manifold overboosts by like 2 to 3, in my case even like 4 psi at times. So that would bring us to like 24 pounds before the gates would open, and that's just too high for this car. I was gonna leave it if I could get them to work, but the wastegates were just never opening. I couldn't really ever figure out why, so what I did is I went ahead and pulled the wastegates out, and I'll show you what I'm gonna try to do to fix this problem. So as you can see here, I took the compressor housing off. I just dropped that off to get drilled and tapped for 1/8 MPT. We're gonna use a 1/4 inch fitting. And then this was the line I had going to the intake manifold. So it wraps all the way around the motor and then plugs into the back of the manifold there. So I'm gonna be getting rid of that because I've heard also that this is just too long of a line, and that you want the reference hose to be as short as possible, because the quicker that the max solenoid and the wastegates see that boost reference, better off you're gonna be and the faster it gets the reading. I've also heard that you want to keep the reference before the intercooler. There's a lot of different, like, it's an endless debate whether or not to put it in the intake manifold or not, but from what I've read, it is better to put it into the compressor housing. So that's what I went ahead and did. I'm having that drilled and tapped. We're gonna have a fitting put into that, and then instead of using just the standard vacuum hose and like the barb fittings, I went ahead and got these really nice push lock fittings for the wastegates, the turbo, and the max solenoid. So everything will be push lock fittings now. These fittings are really nice ones. They're high temperature push lock fittings. I wanted to get the ones for the max solenoid, the turbo, and the wastegates to be good fittings, because this was the setup, and like, look how easy, like, you know, I can push this out. It's like, takes almost no effort to pop that right off. And that was another problem I was having, was the lines from the max solenoid kept slipping right off of the T's that were going to the wastegate. So it was just a combination of a bunch of problems, I think. I also ordered new clamps, just because mine were kind of beat up. I think it's this one. You know, so just in case that was a problem too, I went ahead and got new clamps. Alright, so then as far as the wastegates go, like I said, I never looked at the chart for the tile springs, so the white and green is actually 11.6 psi. So I went back to that. I went back to the white and green springs, which is what I had in them before. So that's good there. When I popped the top hats off, I took the diaphragms out, made sure those were good. I ordered new ones. So I ordered new ones just in case the ones I had in here were bad. But these were perfect. They looked brand new still, so I didn't replace them. But I checked all around them for cracks where it could be leaking. They were perfect, definitely sealing good. And then I threw these same fittings in the wastegates. Like I said, these are really nice. They have a nylon washer or a sealing ring, so you don't have to use Teflon tape, just because tile, it's not a full or a true 1/8 MPT thread. It's like a M10 by 1 or something like that, something metric. So now these should be good to go. We should not have any leaks or any lines slipping off anymore. These are, from what I can tell, really high quality push lock fittings. So then this is the hose I'm using, just plastic 1/4 inch push lock hose. And then, so this is what I had in here, the red, black, and green springs. I reused the green ones, but I had 3 of them in there. Now it's just the white and green in here. So yeah, these should be good to go. I'm also going to be using just these regular like push lock fittings. These like I didn't go with expensive ones just because these are way easier to access if they were to break or leak or something like that, which these still shouldn't, but just in case. And then like, so we have some elbows, got a bunch of T's, and then somewhere in here we also have these Y connectors. So these will be connected, well, I need 2 of these to connect the top and bottom ports, and then just 1 T to get the boost reference from the turbo. So I'm gonna go ahead and go back under the car and throw the wastegates back up. We're gonna pick the turbo compressor housing up later today, and then I'll try to film me putting the wastegates back on, and then I'm gonna route the lines and cap that port that I had on installed on the intake manifold. I'm just gonna cap that because I kind of want to leave it on or in the manifold in case I ever have to use it again for something else. So I don't want to take the fitting out. So I'm just gonna get a vacuum cap and zip tie that on there, and then we should be good. That should hopefully solve all of our wastegate problems, and then I'll update you once we go ahead and get it all back together and finish it up. Okay, so the long vacuum line that ran all the way back, I went ahead and reached underneath, took a little razor blade and sliced at the very top. It was kind of hard to get to just because the fittings are like literally like lined right here underneath, so it's kind of hard to reach your hand under there. I had to disconnect that hose and the sensor, but I was able to reach under there, slice it just enough, and then pull it off. And then I have a set of vacuum caps that I just reached back underneath, capped it up, and then zip tied that on. So I won't really be able to show you, but there is a vacuum cap on that fitting now. Like I said, I didn't want to take it completely out just in case I need to use it again for anything, so I want to leave another fitting in there just to have it, but it is capped off and zip tied on there, so that shouldn't pop off at all. So then now all we have to do is wait for to get the compressor housing back, put that back on, and then put the wastegates on the manifold again, and then just route the lines to the max solenoid. Alright guys, so here we are. We have the 90-degree push lock fitting threaded into the turbo. You can see we got the nylon crush washer in there too. So then that just runs straight down to this T fitting right here, which again, that goes to port 1 on the max solenoid, as well as the bottom ports on the wastegates. And then we have this line teed off of the top ports running to port 2. So that's the full setup here. Again, like I said, we have this plastic push lock line, and this did fix the problem. So I no longer am having the issue of the wastegates not opening. They're opening up perfectly fine right at about 13.5 pounds. Like I said, the tile springs that are in the wastegates right now are the white and green, which are rated at 11.6 psi, but again, the Dock Race manifold overboosts. That's just the nature of these manifolds, to about 13.5 psi. So that's right where we want it. That's gonna be perfect for what we're doing. Here's just an overview of the engine bay and the sunlight here. So again, I double checked that the vacuum cap stayed on the manifold there, so we're good. The zip tie is doing its job and holding it in place there. So as of right now, you know, knock on wood, but the car is so far good. We haven't had any issues now. That wastegate problem was hopefully the last issue that we needed to figure out. So as of right now, the car is running really, really well. I'll insert some clips of it running with the wastegate issue solved. But yeah, here's another quick look at the engine bay. I'll give a nice walk around. I washed it today for the first time in about a year, so she's looking extra nice. The rear end of the car will always be like my favorite, especially with the LCI taillights. We got the Boosted Bimmers of Chicago sticker. Once again, shout out to John for the motor build. But yeah, she's running amazing right now. So the source of that coolant leak, I don't know if you guys probably won't be able to see it, but the Mickey Mouse fitting right there, at first it was leaking from the O-ring seal. I went ahead and fixed that, but then it started actually leaking. I guess I clamped the hose on there too tight, so then it started leaking from there, and it literally sprayed all over the place. Like, of course, on the freshly painted motor, like coolant was everywhere, so I gotta try and still clean up some of that, but other than that, it is perfect right now. So here's the side view. Again, I haven't seen it look this nice in a long time, so it's just so refreshing and so nice to see it again. The turbo, I don't actually think the turbo looks much bigger than the old one in person, but maybe it does. On camera, it looks a lot bigger than the Precision, but I feel like in person, it doesn't actually look that bigger. But we'll wrap the video up here. Enough of me rambling on about the car. We did get the issue fixed, so these push lock fittings and lines, you'll definitely want to run that. If you have for any single turbo kit, I would 100% recommend doing this, just for peace of mind that they won't leak. So yeah, make sure you guys like and subscribe. We're definitely gonna be posting more videos now that the car is up and running, so we'll see you in the next one.
Yeah, my iPhone white and my bitch too. It's 6, 7, 8. Who the fuck is you?